Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel, and this is being recorded Wednesday morning. The Premier League comes back, it restarts on Saturday, really looking forward to that. The international break wasn't too bad, it's soon gone by. United play on Sunday of course against Brighton at Old Trafford, so really looking forward to that coming back and that United and Brighton game on Sunday. If there was a game during this international break that I was looking forward to though, it's tonight. Tonight England play Poland, who officially are the second, officially the second best team in the group. It's one of the games that could possibly see England drop points, of course. Although Poland are without Lewandoski, the Bayern Munich striker tonight, he's out injured. So that's a bonus for England, really. Obviously, he'd have been a main danger man. So England play Poland tonight. It's live on ITV at 7:45. By the way, it's a Group I game. Poland have already dropped points. They dropped points against Hungary, which was a little bit of a shock. But if there is another team in the group that are capable of taking points from either Poland or England, I would suggest it's Hungary. England have still got to play Hungary twice. You'd expect them to win those games, but those are the other two games I would suggest in the group that are not a virtual certainty. I'm not impressed by. I'm not saying I'm unimpressed, but I'm not particularly impressed by the fact that England have got 6 points when all they've played so far is San Marino and Albania. You would expect them to have 6 points from those two games. The teams tonight. I've been looking at there was a lot of discussion at first about the game. The first game that they played against Albania, I expected, San Marino. San Marino was the first game. I expected a lot of changes between that game and the Albania game, and there was a lot of changes between that game and the Albania game. And I've got a feeling that the Albania game, he treated it as a warm-up game for this game against Poland, and I think there's a great chance that the starting lineup from the Albania game will be the starting lineup tonight. The Albania game was on Sunday and is obviously a slightly tougher task than the San Marino game that they played the previous Thursday. The team against Albania was Nick Pope in goal. Nick Pope, by the way, the Burnley keeper. He's got 6 caps now. The first 6 caps for England. He's kept 6 clean sheets and he's the first goalkeeper in history to do that. So obviously he'll be in goal tonight, and they'll be looking to make it 7 clean sheets on the bounce, which would be an amazing start for him. But surely it will be Pope in goal. The rest of the team against Albania was Walker at right back and Luke Shaw at left back. Maguire and Stones were the 2 centre backs. That was an interesting balance, by the way. I wonder if that's ever happened before. 2 City players and 2 United players made up the back 4. The holding midfield players, or as I call them, proper midfield players, were Phillips and Rice, with Mason Mount as an attacking midfield player, and Foden, Sterling, and Harry Kane as the attacking players. That was the lineup against Albania. I would hazard a guess that might well be the lineup tonight. I've looked at a couple of the newspapers though. The Standard have got 3 changes to that team. They've got Reece James in at right back over Walker. I'll be honest, that would surprise me. I'm going to leave one till the last. They've got Ward-Prowse in place of Phillips of Leeds. Just because I think he's going to stick with the Albania team, I would suggest no. If I was picking the team, I would use Ward-Prowse in front of Phillips. They might well have a point, but I honestly believe he's set his line up there against Albania with that team's being able to gel in that game and then play again in the next game. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind Ward-Prowse one little bit. He's more of an attack. He's more of an attacking player. More of a creative player than Phillips, and Phillips is more of a dogged player. But then they've got Declan Rice in there as well. I'm sure Declan Rice will play. I wouldn't mind Ward-Prowse playing one little bit, but I do fancy it will be the team from the Albania team. And the other position that the Standard have made a change in is left back. They've got Ben Chilwell in at left back as opposed to Luke Shaw. I'll be surprised at that. And I'm not just saying that, as quite a few people on social media that might be saying that Luke Shaw got a great assist at the weekend. His cross for Harry Kane was a peach that Kane scored from. That doesn't mean anything. You know, tonight, if Chilwell was to play, he's equally capable of getting an assist or even scoring a goal. That can happen. So, especially for fullbacks, I mean, I don't necessarily look at the goal scoring records of forwards. It's about how they play the game for me. But it certainly doesn't hold any sway for a fullback that he got an assist at the weekend, and that means he should be in the lineup. But Luke Shaw is having a fantastic season. I'll be a bit surprised if Chilwell plays in his place. But interestingly, the only other paper that I've looked at, so the Standard made 3 changes from the Albania team: Reece James, Ben Chilwell and Ward-Prowse. The Independent have only made 1 change, or they're guessing at 1 change, and the single change that they've got is also Ben Chilwell for Luke Shaw. So I found that a bit strange. I don't know whether the newspapers have got a little bit of an insight. Obviously, they do their own work, and they do try and, you know, get to know people within the camp and things like that. So that's an interesting one to keep your eye on. I would imagine Luke Shaw will keep his place. I really would. I think he's having a fantastic season. But both the newspapers I've looked at have got Ben Chilwell in at left back. So it's live on ITV, 7:45. England are on 6 points. Poland are on 4 points. It's not a must-win game for England. It's definitely a must-not-lose game. No, absolutely, definitely. So I'm looking forward to that one. It's the first one during the whole break that I've really looked forward to. England under 21s are also playing. That's at 5 o'clock. That's an interesting game. That's live on Sky Sports main event at 5 o'clock. They're playing Croatia in this tournament, the under 21 tournament. It's the actual tournament. It's not a qualifying tournament. The actual tournament, the European Under-21 Championships, being jointly held in Hungary and Slovenia. England must win to have any chance of getting through tonight. They've not got a point yet. They've been beaten by Switzerland. They've been beaten by Portugal. The Swiss are playing the Portuguese tonight. To have any chance of getting through whatsoever, England must beat Croatia. England have not scored a goal. They've been beaten 1-0 and 2-0. I'm pretty sure I've read that they haven't had a shot, or they might have had 1 shot on target in the first game and no shots on target in the second game. So they're going to have to improve dramatically. And there's a lot of Premier League footballers in that squad and in the starting lineups in both games. Plenty of Premier League footballers. So if I'm honest, it's a tad embarrassing for England, I think. So they must win, but not only must they win, but to have any chance of getting through, they also need Portugal to beat Switzerland. If Switzerland get a point or more from the Portuguese game that they're playing, then England can't get through whatever they do. So that's an interesting one as well. I might not be able to, but I'm going to try and have a look at that one at 5 o'clock. That's on Sky Sports main event. Also tonight on the TV, it clashes with the England game, of course, but if you'd rather watch the Scotland game, that's at 7:45 on Sky Sports main event. Scotland are only playing the Faroe Isles. The Faroe Isles are regarded as one of the whipping boys in European football. I would just remind Scotland fans that they need to be a little bit on the guard. Scotland can't afford to be they certainly can't afford to be as complacent against the Faroe Isles as they could have been a few years ago. They've got themselves better organised, and they're not quite the pushovers that they were a few years ago. They got beat 3-1 by Austria. That's no embarrassment, 3-1. And I've looked at the results, and I knew that they'd organised themselves better. So I've had a quick glance at the recent results. Before they got beat by Austria, don't get me wrong, they haven't played any teams that are any great shakes, but they've played a couple of teams that are capable of giving teams a run for the money on the odd occasion. And they haven't lost in the previous 7 before that 3-1 defeat by Austria. They've won 3 and drawn 4 of the previous 7 before that Austria game. It includes a win and a draw against Malta. It includes a draw with Latvia and a draw with Moldova. So not fantastic teams, but they're beating and drawing teams that on the day are capable let's just say, capable of giving you an uncomfortable game. Let's put it that way. So Scotland must win. They must win. They cannot afford any complacency whatsoever. They've got 2 points from 2 games at the moment. This is a game that they're going to expect to win. They can't be complacent. They've got to get these 3 points. And if they are complacent, it won't be as easy as they think it could be, perhaps. They definitely need to get 3 points so that they're on 5 points after the first three group games. In Group C today, Northern Ireland in a much worse position still. They haven't got a point yet from 2 games. They're clearly out of it. Bulgaria are the bottom of their group. Northern Ireland are at home to Bulgaria. That's live on Sky Sports Football at 7:45. Nothing less than a win will do for Northern Ireland, or else I would suggest they're out of it already. In the football last night, Group E last night, Wales played the Czech Republic. I watched that game. Dan James, his usual self, really good, solid performance from the Welsh, and Dan James is an important part of it. As I'm often pointing out for when he plays for United, his work rate, his nous about the team, the philosophy of the team, and the shape of the team, and where he needs to be when the opposition have got the ball is as good as anybody's. A lot of people don't think anything about that. They don't realise how important that is. It's almost as important. Some top coaches might even argue it's equally as important as being able to score goals or make goals. If you can keep a clean sheet, it doesn't matter who scores the goals. And with Dan James in the team, with the work rate that he puts in, they've got, it's a bonus that they've got players, not just the back four and the natural midfield players that defend properly. And yet again, they did keep a clean sheet. The Czechs are a good team. And Wales won 1-0, and lo and behold, Dan James scored the goal as well. It was a fantastic header from a deep cross by Gareth Bale, and Dan James came in at the far post, not unmarked either. He had to beat somebody in the air and planted the ball back where it came from into the side netting on the far side of the goal. It really was a quality header. Played with a lot of desire. He did a fantastic clearance from almost under his own crossbar, where he had to literally sprint back into the penalty box, and when I say almost under his own crossbar, probably just inside the 6-yard box, but it looked like it was going to be a goal for the Czechs, and he managed to clear it. So it was a fantastic win. They've got 3 points now because they got beat by Belgium in the first game, but the Czechs have got 4 points. Had they not won that game, the Czechs would have been red-hot favourites for me to get that second spot, but now I don't see Belgium slipping up and not winning the group, so I still think it's between the Welsh and the Czech Republic. So that's a fantastic win for them, for who can get the second spot. In the same group, Group E, Belgium made plenty of changes. What a team they've got, or what a squad they've got. They're so well organised. They made lots of changes for the game against Belarus and still won 8-0. And Brighton's Leandro Trossard scored 2 of the goals, by the way. So, Belgium won 8-0 against Belarus. They have already dropped points, though, Belgium. They got 7 points out of 9 from this international break. So, but I can see the Belgians winning that group, and it'll be between Wales and the Czech Republic, to get through into the qualifiers. That's it for the home nations. The Republic of Ireland have not got a game this midweek. There was a surprise result in Group G. Turkey, who have already beaten Holland and Norway and looked like they were red-hot favourites for that group, suddenly drew with Latvia. They drew 3-3 with Latvia last night. Latvia didn't have a point from 2 games previously, so it's something that's always fascinated me about football. The way that teams who you think are on the crest of a wave can play a team who are on the crest of a slump, if you like, and suddenly they drop points where you really, really don't expect them to drop points. Like I say, they had a fantastic win. I think it's 4-2 against Holland. They beat Norway comfortably, and then they go and play Latvia, who haven't got a point. Latvia have now got 1 point from 3 games. You would never have imagined that Turkey would have dropped points there. So that was a 3-3 draw. So suddenly, from being red-hot favourites, Turkey, they've got 7 points, and Holland, Montenegro and Norway have all got 7 points each, 6 points each. So there's 3 teams only 1 point behind Turkey after they've had a shock result, a 3-3 draw against Latvia. Norway, by the way, beat Montenegro 1-0 in that group last night. That's Group G. And during that break, they've beaten Gibraltar 3-2. They got beaten by Turkey. I think they beat Gibraltar 3-0. They got beat by Turkey. I think that was 3-0 as well. And then last night they beat Montenegro 1-0. Just interestingly, I know you can't score goals every time you set foot on the pitch, but I wouldn't imagine before this international break that most United fans who were crazy about us signing Haaland. Haaland's not scored a goal during that break. When he's played against Montenegro and Gibraltar, you'd have thought, certainly before the ball was kicked, I think most people would have expected Haaland to get 2 or 3 goals during this international break. But he's played in all 3 games and not scored a goal. The other game in that group last night, Holland beat Gibraltar 7-0. Donny van der Beek was on the bench again. He started on the bench in each of the 3 games during this break, but he did come off the bench and get one of the goals last night. So it was nice to see Donny van der Beek get a goal. I've not seen that goal yet. I'll try and see that at some stage today. So don't forget, 5 o'clock tonight, it's England under-21s v Croatia under-21s. If you fancy watching a bit of football around that time, England must win or else they're out. That's the group stages. It's not qualification. They're actually at the tournament. It's the group stages. And then once these groups are finished, at the first week in June, the actual knockout phase takes place in the first week in June. So England must win to have any chance. And then at 7:45, live on ITV, it's the big one of this whole international break, if you like, England versus Poland, live at 7:45. I hope you've enjoyed that little show. If you've enjoyed that show, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, you know the score now. Don't tell anybody. Keep stum.